Yo, what's good with y'all, man? It's your boy Swifty. In this video, I'm about to break down how to make guitar loops for NoCap without using real guitar. Let's get straight to it. First, opened up Ample Guitar Semi-Hollow, and I just used the default preset. To start it off, I just started with the bottom notes, the root notes. So I'm in the key of E minor. So to make sure you're in the key of E minor, you're going to go up there to the little arrow. Go to the helpers, you go to scale, highlighting, and then you select E and then minor natural. Now we're in the key of E minor. So as you can see on the grid, you got light shaded notes and dark shaded notes. The light shaded ones are the ones you can use that are in key, and the dark shaded ones you don't want to use them. So I basically just build simple triads. So to build a triad, you just use the root note that you're using, then you're gonna skip one light shaded note and use the next one. In that case, it's a G. Then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm skip that one and I'm use that one, which is the B. And as you can see, I switch it up. What I did was basically the G right there, I selected it and put it up an octave. To do that, just select the note by holding Control and dragging with your mouse to select it. Then you do Control and you use the arrows on your keyboard to go up or down. And in that case, I went up an octave, so you go up, and as you can see, it's the G that's right there. Then in between the two notes, I got an E, which is the root note, and I just put it up an octave too. As you can see, they're not playing at the same time because I wanted that strumming feel with the guitar. Then as you can see at the bottom, I played a lot with the velocities. That's really important if you want to make your instrument sound realistic. So then what I did was I copied the same chord right there. I selected every note and just held shift, then I clicked on it, dragged it all the way here, and then I pitched it down 5 semitones. So that's 5 notes. So you're gonna hold shift and go down with the arrow 5 times. And as you can see, this is the next chord right there. Then when I had the first 2 bars, I just listened to it and I tried to come up with a little root note that would go well with the rest. That's basically the melody that I came up with in my head, and I just replicated it with the root notes, and then I built the chords around them. Then I just played with the velocities a lot, and I copied that over for the next 4 bars. This is what the guitar sounds like with no effects. Next, for the effects, I just put guitar rig on it. I used the preset called Jazz Amp Mono to Stereo, and then I just turned off the limiter right there. And as you can see here on the mix knob, I just turned it down a little bit. Next, I put some reverb, a stereo control to make it a little wider, and lastly an EQ to cut some of the bad frequencies and boost some of the frequencies that were missing, and also cut the lows as always. But this is what it sounds like with the effects. Next, for the lead, I just opened up the Ample Guitar Semi-Hollow again. I went into the presets and I just chose the Dream Come True solo preset right there. And then to make the top line, what I did was basically follow, as you can see, the root note, which is the E, and then just make a melody around it using the same notes that I use in the chords, so that way it makes sense, it goes well with the chords. As you can see right there, for example, I use a note that's in the dark shaded notes on the grid, which is not in key, but I've explained this before. You can use them as transition notes. It's the only exception where you can use them. So as you can see, I got this note right there that plays out, then I go into the E, and to make this one go into the E, I use this one, which gives a jazzy feeling. Just make sure you tone down the velocity, don't make it too loud and too long, otherwise it's gonna sound off. And as you can see, I just made the first 4 bars, then I copied it over and I changed it up a little bit. So I put the E in G right there because I had a little run going into the G. Then I just pitched this to the A, which was in the G, and then it's the same until here, which goes to B instead of G, and then the run at the end is the only difference right there. So this is what it sounds like with no effects. For the effects, I just put a reverb, a stereo control, turn all the way up, some EQ to cut the lows, and another EQ to cut some bad frequencies and boost some of the highs. This is what it sounds like now with the effects. So next I opened up this library called Renegade in Contact, and I just used the middle symbol right there called downslides, and I just used these two notes right there. As you can see, it's the E, which is the root note, and then the G, because if we look back at the guitar lead, I used the E first and then I used the G, so that's why I used them there. This is what it sounds like with no effects. So first for the effects, I put some reverb, turned up the mix a lot and the decay so it sounds super ambient. Then I turned up the stereo control to 180% so it sounds super wide. And lastly an EQ to get the lows. This is what it sounds like with the effects. Alright, so next I added vocals from vocal runs. I just used the preset called Maya Kit Minor 29. So the way this plugin works is to make it in key, you just use the note that's the root note of your melody. So in my case, it's E minor, so I only use the E note. And as you can see, I just used it at different octaves because they play different stuff. So for example, I used the E4 and the E6. It's not the same, but that's how you come up with different patterns using the same preset. And this is what it sounds like with no effects. And next for the effects, I use the reverb. I put the mix really high, then the stereo control to make it wider, and lastly an EQ where I cut the highs, the lows to make it sound like a radio type of effect. This is what it sounds like now with the effects. Alright, so lastly I just added a little wah-wah. Instead of playing it right there as you normally would, I just put it down an octave. That's how it sounds like with no effects. And what I did for the effect, I just put a reverb with a lot of decay, put a stereo control, made it pretty wide, and lastly an EQ to cut the lows. That's what it sounds like with the effects. Alright, so now I'm just let you hear the whole loop. I mean, I hope y'all enjoyed that tutorial. Hope you learned something. If you want Zoom classes with all the DK members, make sure you sign up to the $10 subscription for the Patreon. It's gonna be in the description. Make sure y'all like the video, subscribe, comment what you want to see next, and I'm gonna catch y'all next time.